It was kind of like fear, shock, with a pinch of happy, all at the same time.
That's how we do it in the South.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Rabbit's Used Cars. You know, I miss radio. You know, a lot of guys, this is how I kind of got my start in media, is doing radio, automotive radio. We had Hot Rods and Happy Hour radio show, and the radio show turned into a podcast. You got extremely popular, and I love it. Radio, you know, it's one of those things that's never going to die. You know, podcasts, it may transition or whatever, but it's always going to be around. And it was kind of a cool way to get my foot in the door in all this. Way before the YouTubes and way before anything, the Netflix shows, it was radio. And radio is really cool. I love talk radio. You know, it's just interesting, intriguing. You learn things. And we had a lot of fun doing it. That was the big thing. So recently, we've had a company reach out to us about doing a podcast again. And, you know, we stopped the podcast about 3 years ago because just the schedule was insane. I just didn't have time to do it. And really, I don't have time to do it now, but I enjoy doing it so much that I thought, man, you know, it'd be cool to get back into radio. You know, so this guy came down and we were talking and we were friends. I know this guy from another radio company and we got to going back and forth with some things and, you know, maybe we can get a deal put together. But they got me thinking, you know, some of the best parts of radio were never heard on the air. That's the cool thing about radio is like you have the show you listen to, but you also have the show that's going on that no one sees. You know, while we're talking, you know, you got in your mind, we're just sitting there, the jokes that we're playing on each other, you know, the things, when the mics are off, the things that are said, which are absolutely hilarious and usually not FCC friendly. But that being said, I thought I would share a really fun radio experience with you guys. So let me set the scene for you. We haven't been doing the show too awful long. And we had a little producer, and keep in mind, if you've ever seen like John Boy and Billy or the Bob and Tom show or Howard Stern show or any show like that, you have a producer in the studio with you while we're recording. And basically they adjust all the volumes and levels and make sure everything's set just right and timing things out. And they're giving you hand signs while we're doing this so we know when to wrap it up or station identification, yada, yada, yada. And, you know, if you have a call in or whatever, of course, they handle all that. So we had this producer, and I love to pick on people, just like I pick on Jeff now, and we pick on everybody. That's just kind of my nature. That's how you know I like you, if I pick on you. And I'm not going to say his name because he may be watching these, but the producer, he was a young kid. He was about 19, 20 years old. He went to a Christian college, maybe 100 pounds soaking wet. Really good producer, tried really hard. But he was a little on the nerdy side. You can tell, wasn't quite a hit with the ladies. You know, we always aggravate them all the time. Hey, you going out on a date this weekend? Oh, no. You know, he would blush, you get red, and we loved it. We loved to mess with him. So it was me, Hot Rod, who the rap guy is now, and in the studio. And you got to think about it. You know, we recorded the podcast late at night. We didn't start recording like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening. And, you know, it was a night through the week, usually on Wednesday nights. And we're sitting there in the studio. And, you know, you got to think about it. That's the thing I love about radio. When that door shuts, it's just us. It turns the rest of the world off. And so we got to messing around with this producer, me and Robert, going back and forth with him. And to tell you the rest of the story, I got to stop the story and got to tell you another one. So we've got that's scared of women. Shit, I said his name. This scared of women. And we've got a guy on the radio that is not. And I'll put it like that. Have a lot of friends, have a lot of female friends, have a lot of female friends that do different things. I've got a really good friend of mine that I'm trying to think of the best way to describe her. So I got to be really careful how I do this. Wholesome is not a word I would use to describe her. Very popular. You know, she was a dancer in a club and very attractive. You know, maybe not exactly the girl you'd take home to mama, but you probably would take her on a hot bowling day. She looked the part. Okay, I think I've described that enough without getting myself in trouble. So back to the story. So we're sitting there, and me and Odd Rod are going back and forth, and it hit me. I told the producer, "You're a virgin, aren't you?" His face turned as red as his couch. And he goes, and he's just like, just shy. He never said no or yes or whatever. He's just like, trying to ignore it. Well, then I got Robert started on him, going back and forth, like, oh my God, I cannot believe he's a virgin. And we're going back and forth, back and forth. We were messing with him hard. And that got me thinking about my friend. And she's a pretty good sport. So I pick up the old iPhone. This is back in the day. It was a different iPhone, but the iPhone. I shot her a text. Like, hey, what you doing tonight? She's like, oh, I'm just chilling at the house. I'm like, want to have some fun. And I kind of briefly typed out what was going on. And she's like, I know what you want me to do. I'm like, yes, ma'am. Keep in mind, radio station's empty. It's just us three in this building, 22,000 square foot building. This radio station's huge. And we're in there. All the lights are off. Just the lights are on, just right there in the main areas. And she lived close to the station. She's like, give me about 45 minutes. I'll be there. So, anyway, I walk outside to go smoke a cigarette. Keep in mind, the radio station has doors that lock automatically, and you have to have a little key fob to get in and out, which I had. So I walk outside, and sure enough, right when I finish that Marlboro, she comes riding up. And this is in the fall, so it's a little cool out, but not cold. She's wearing a long coat, almost like a trench coat. She gets out of her car, and she's like, so, you ready to do this? I said, yes, ma'am. So anyway, we walk in the station, walk through the front, and we had this huge studio that was all glass. And, there was like their main studio downstairs, and all the rest of the studios for all the other stations were upstairs. And so we're down there in that main studio. I always loved recording in that studio. And, so we're in there, and I can see the producer in there, and he's got his little headphones on, and he's over here adjusting stuff and doing playback and all this. So while he wasn't paying attention, we walked past all those windows. Well, the door to the studio didn't lock. So she was waiting by the door, no glass on that side. And I walk on in, and I told her, I said, you give me about 45 seconds and you come in. So I pick up my phone and I'm like, I told the producer, I said, it's your lucky day. He said, what? I said, we're going to take care of that virginity for you tonight. He goes, what do you mean? What do you mean? As soon as I said that, that door flies open. Trench coat comes off. She is wearing nothing but a smile. Straight up, naked as they come. His eyes got as big as fucking dinner plates. And the look on his face, I don't know what you could do to replicate that look. I've never seen another human being with that look on his face. It was kind of like fear, shock, with a pinch of happy, all at the same time. And she came in and she started walking towards him. So keep in mind, to set the space, you got a square box and there's windows all around. So if anybody walked into the radio station, they're going to see this naked chick standing there. And the producer's right here. I'm here, Robert's here. She walks straight towards him. He jumps over the panel, across the desk, in between me and Robert, and darts around behind her and runs out the door. And she's standing there naked like, what the hell? And I said, well, go get him. So she's chasing this producer around the radio station butt naked. This kid goes into an elevator and just hits the hold button on the doors. He locked himself in the elevator. So here is me and Robert standing in the hallway of this radio station with a naked woman talking to a guy on the other side of an elevator door that refuses to come out because he thinks this woman's going to steal his virginity. Real world problems. So finally, after she put her coat back on, and I promised that I wasn't going to let her deflower him, he eventually opened the door and he let her sit in the studio while we finished the rest of the show. But she had to stay on the opposite side. And it was so funny. Every time she'd move, his head pick up. And, he wasn't our producer much longer after that. I don't think it is necessarily this situation. Actually, I'm telling you a lie. It was that situation. He requested a new assignment. And our next producer was a little more seasoned, so we didn't have to worry about breaking him in so much. But this is, and it's so funny. Actually, this kid ended up leaving the radio station to go work for a Christian television station. But I just got a feeling when he gets his non-church going buddies around, he talks about the wild night in the radio station, that one crazy automotive DJ was going to steal his virginity. This is the stuff that goes on. I tell people this all the time about the RUC, and I told all my boys this. Everybody, Julie, everybody when they come in here, if these walls could talk, and the things we've seen here, the things that Jeff has already seen, the things that Matt, the old camera guy, saw, we have some of the craziest stuff going on, but we have the time of our lives here. Guys, we'll catch you next time at Rabbit's Used Cars.